Welcome, everybody, to the October 18th, not December, like I said last week. It is October. Leaves are starting to change. The meeting of the Rotary Club of Brentwood. Glad to have the beautiful and handsome faces here. My name is Stephen Hammers. I am the president of this Rotary Club, and I'm happy to be, and I am not going to count down. I love doing this until I don't. Oh, Michael's here. Okay, we're going to have the invocation by Zach Benner, and we're going to have the pledge and forward test by Michael Kaplan. Zach?
Let's bow our heads. As we are midway through the month of October, it is the season of fall in the Northern Hemisphere. Some days here it feels more like summer, and other days those fall temperatures make me realize that cooler months are definitely here. However you enjoy the celebrating or observing this time of year, I hope you find meaning in this prayer for fall. God of all seasons, it is fall. We see more pumpkins on porches and pumpkin-flavored items are available everywhere. The temperatures may be changing as well as our clothing choices. We may be gathering around the fire pits with friends, or we may not even have had time to notice the change in the season. God of all creation, help us gain inspiration from nature this fall. Like the trees, help us let us go of what is no longer life-giving or helping us to grow. Like the grass, remind us that it's okay to rest and renew for a season before coming back alive and well next year. Like the migrating birds, send us on a journey to familiar places where we can be safe until it is time to return home. Like the animals preparing for hibernation, give us good food to nourish us and give us extra rest in the coming days. Like the squirrels scurrying around to collect nuts, may we gather only where we need to, may what we only what we need so our needs are met and that others, then there is enough for others. As we watch the leaves fall and feel the temperatures cool, let us be in this time of possibility for what the season can be as we trust in you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Will everyone please join me in the pledge to our flag? Pledge allegiance.
United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now the four-way test for what we think, say, and do. First, second, third,
better friendships,
and fourth.
beneficial to all concerned.
Thank you.
We certainly hope so. And our secretary, Jennifer Wayne. Oh, Jason is. Okay, I didn't know that. Jason is going to introduce our visiting Rotarians and guests.
All right, let's start with Mr. Harold Fogelberg.
My guest is Buddy Stewart, who has been here frequently, and he's from East Tennessee, but lives in Nashville, raised his family here, and he's a big basketball fan.
Awesome.
Thank you, buddy. Now on to Larry Kane, that has three guests, I believe, here.
Hello. Yes, I have three distinguished Belmont folks with me today. I got Bill Moore. Raise your hand, Bill Moore. Last time he was here, I introduced him as my oldest friend, which he did not like at all. I meant to say he's the guy that I've known probably longer than anybody else. We've played hundreds of rounds of golf together. Next to him on his right is Ken Warren. Ken, Pinnacle Bank here in Brentwood, Belmont graduate, baseball player over there. On the other side, Logan Matthews, Bill's grandson, Belmont graduate, good golfer, excellent golfer at Belmont. So they came to hear the coach speak today.
Awesome.
Thank you, Larry. And we have two speaker guests. We have Greg Sage with Belmont Athletics and the communications with basketball. You want to say anything?
That was accurate. Well done.
And last but not least, we have Mr. Hunter Daniels over here with Belmont. Tell him what
Hi, everyone. Hunter Daniels, Director of Sales and Sponsorships for Belmont Athletics. Previously served in business development roles with the Indiana Pacers and Nashville Predators. Brought a little season ticket handout there in the middle of your table. Wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't try to sell season tickets to you today, but come on board and go Bruins.
Thanks, Hunter. I believe that was it.
And we also got Scott Robinson here, who's on his way to become a member. So,
Thanks,
all right, Jared.
I said something last week. Good to see everybody
Scott.
again.
Happy Bucks.
Jared,
Jared.
stop eating. Happy Bucks.
All this talk about the
An
fall,
Alabama shirt on.
all this talk about the fall. Everybody knows what weekend this is, right? How about you, George Johnson? What weekend is this?
Third weekend in October. Look forward to a freshman going up against the senior.
All right, who's happy? Who's happy? You guys over here, anybody? No, come
Don't
on.
make Jared sad now.
Come on, buddy. Michael? Anybody? This is not good. All right, here's,
All it's got 10 there. I'm not gonna say I'm happy that we're playing y'all, but I am happy that we're actually gonna be in a competitive game once and hopefully for a long time to come.
you'll win.
What do you mean they could win there, Jason? Just like the Commodores won 2 in a row.
All right, Alan, I know you're waiting.
Yeah. Kip, I appreciate you stealing my thunder there. I called it all along. Vanderbilt this year
Yeah,
is their year.
yeah, you sure
I
did.
said at the beginning of the year, I said Vanderbilt will stomp Alabama at home.
No lying here.
Go Doors.
Wait, what about Ole Miss? Did you forget about them? Okay.
Charles Grumman, my hero.
Charles, you hung off of a building in New York City. Is that right? Tell them briefly what you did.
Oh, sorry. It's very rare that people need me to talk louder. So I was, that's not why I was thinking this, but I guess I put it on Instagram. So, in New York City, they've redeveloped the Hudson Yards. There's now 6 or 8 big, tall glass skyscrapers for those of you that visit Manhattan from time to time. And our headquarters, Wells Fargo's headquarters, or at least, I don't know if it's officially our headquarters, but our senior management now sits in 50 Hudson Yard. I forget. And if you go down there, you'll see that there's a glass observation deck, 100 stories up, an outside observation deck. So you can go up there and, look out over the world outside, which is really cool. And if you're really looking for fun, you can strap yourself to this outdoor staircase and climb up with no railing except where the thing goes, an additional 5 stories, and stand at the very tippy top of the building and lean over like you're going to fall 105 stories.
And you did that.
I did that. It was so much fun. Hey, I went skydiving, 3 weeks ago with half this club. So, I mean, that's nothing. I didn't, well, let's see. We were higher skydiving. How about that? That was in the Bahamas swimming with sharks last week, too. That was fun, too. But that's not why I'm here. Okay, so I'm going to ask everybody to do me a favor. Mark Lobliner, is he here today? Mark is not here. And thank you. That's exactly why. Mark is our official post it to Instagram guy, and he does a great job. He comes up with catchy little things. He does a great job, but he can't be at every meeting. None of us can. So we all need to become Mark's hands and feet. Can I ask you all to send a text to Mark if I give you Mark's number, and then it'll be in your phone. So Mark's number, let's send him 100 texts. Mark, I want you to put it in your phone as Mark with a C, Rotary Photo. Who cares what his last name is? Mark Rotary Photo, right? So first name Mark, last name Rotary Photo. That way later on it's easier for you to find. And his number is 818-554-8771. So 818-554-8771. So I would encourage you, all of you, to take a picture right now. Take a picture for the president. Take a picture of your neighbor. Take a picture of yourself. Take a picture of me. Hi, Mark. There we go. And text him a photo. And in the future, anytime you see a great photo that, oh, I like this. Oh, he's going to, let's just hammer him with photos. So now he'll always have lots of material and he'll be able to go through. So anytime you go to a Rotary event, take a picture, look up Rotary photo on your phone, text it to him and he'll take care of it. Yeah, sure. One more time. Yeah, send him 5 photos. Let's have some fun. What's he doing not at Rotary today? He has no right. 818-554-8771. 818-554-8771. I feel like I'm selling insurance on the radio. I know. It's your boss's number.
Anybody else?
Well, I get to do my first Happy Bucks today, so I'm very happy. And I think that we are moving forward with my admittance to the Rotary Club. So I definitely want to say thank you to all of you. And I'm looking forward to spending a lot of Friday lunches here.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you. Curry, Andrew? Curry? Got anything for us, Curry? Roger? Got anything for us?
Appreciate it. Thank you. Couple announcements, if you can throw those up there, Linus. November 8th is our district mid-year conference, Cool Springs Marriott. If y'all like to attend. November 16th is our Owls Hill Nature Sanctuary, helping moving plants. Michael, do you need anybody to help? Michael Kaplan, where'd you go? The Owls Hill? Okay. If you want to help out, Banks Hitman, please contact him. All right. November 5th is our holiday anniversary party at Richland Country Club. Make sure that's on your calendar. When do we gotta let it? Who's Michelle? Are you doing that? Just put it on your schedule. Make sure you go. I'm sure there'll be a deadline for that. And then we also have a Waverly food distribution coming up again, December 7th. So, one last thing. Some of you may remember we contributed to My Bag, My Story. The executive director recipient, her husband just passed away. Laura's at that funeral right now. Christian Finger, her husband just passed away. So I want to let you all know that. I think that's it for announcements. So please get involved. And Jordan's going to come up and introduce our guest for today.
Hello, all. Happy Friday. We have the pleasure of having Mr. Casey Alexander, who was introduced as the 10th head men's basketball coach in program history in April of 2019 at Belmont. He begins his 6th season for this season as head coach in 2024 and 2025. He has one of the best conference records in the nation over the last 8 seasons, and was named a finalist for the Skip Proser Man of the Year award for the 3rd time, an award he received in 2018. He joined the, exclusive company of Mark Few, Tim Izzo, and Jay Wright as the only coaches in America to win 100 or more games and win 4 consecutive conference championships from 2018 to 2021. In 2019, he was named Atlantic Sun Coach of the Year, one of the most instrumental contributors to Belmont's ascension to national prominence in the NCAA Division I and NAIA. Alexander spent 6 seasons as the head coach at Lipscomb University. Prior to Lipscomb, Alexander spent 2 seasons as the head coach at Stetson University. And prior to his first head coaching opportunity, Alexander spent 2 decades at Belmont, first as a player and later as a member of Rick Bird's coaching staff. He's a product of nearby Brentwood Academy. He played point guard for Bird at Belmont from 91 and 95, or to 95. From there, he spent 16 seasons as a part of Bird's coaching staff, where Belmont won 287 games with Alexander on staff. Alexander's final season as a Bird assistant in 2011 was arguably the finest program in history. Belmont went 30-5 and led the nation in a scoring margin. Alexander was inducted to the Belmont University Athletic Hall of Fame in 2005 and received a bachelor's degree in physical education from Belmont in 95, his master's in sports management from Austin Peay in 96. Alexander and his wife, also a 95 Belmont graduate, are the parents of 3 children, Allie, Reed, and Mason. Without further ado, Mr. Alexander.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that. If you want to know where any of that information comes from, Greg Sage is our, what are you, Associate AD for Communications? Does that sound right? Yeah, he can make anybody look good and accomplished. So appreciate that. Great to be here. Good crowd. Appreciate some Belmont brethren showing up, you know, making me feel comfortable here. It's really nice. Congratulations to you as a new member. Where's are you, buddy? Yeah, I mean, if you come all the time, you need to join, right? I mean, what are we waiting on over here, right? You know, I don't know about the shout outs. That was good. The what is it, happy something? Happy Bucks? Yeah, there's a lot of new Happy Buck Vanderbilt fans. Have you guys noticed that? Yeah, they've all come out of the woodwork. There's at least 7 to 10, you know, right now that we didn't know about 3 weeks ago. So that part's good. It's I get to do things like this somewhat regularly, but rarely at a place that feels like home to me. I'm one of the few Brentwood guys. You know, my for some history here, my brother, we lived in Bellevue growing up, but my brother went to Brentwood Academy in 1977. And then when he finished, I went to Brentwood Academy. And then when I finished, he went back to Brentwood Academy. And this is actually the first year since 77 we haven't had a presence on that campus, and with him being the biggest part of it. My dad, I literally grew up going to my grandparents' farm on Edmondson Pike. Innavale Dairy was where my dad grew up. It's now Innavale's neighborhood. My grandmother was a Williams. A lot of you may be familiar with Williams Grove. That's kind of her stomping grounds over there. So a lot of connections to this area that I proudly call home, no doubt about that. So I'm not going to stand up here and speak to you for 30 minutes by any stretch. We're going to have some question and answers, some of the same questions that have already been asked to me. I think you'll enjoy that a whole lot more. And I heard that you had Scott Corley here, our athletic director, another Brentwood guy, back in August. And he talks about like important stuff, like institutional this and higher education that, like things that way over my head. So I'm not going to get into those kinds of things. We're going to keep this super informal and super and try to make it fun. I'll say this about our team. We are 4 weeks into the official practice season. All right. A lot of you have no idea that basketball is getting ready to start. Literally, we play our first game 2 weeks from Monday. It's here. And so a little bit of a blessing and a curse for our profession in a sense that the first 6, 8, 10 weeks of our season is not very public because it's the heart of football season and the end of football season. And so we can not be great on occasion and it might fly under the radar. And by the time you guys start paying attention, we figure some things out and it looks a little bit better, but we're in it. We're definitely in it. We've got 8 new guys on our team out of 16 players. That's a lot. That's a lot of turnover. If you're a Belmont fan or follow us at all, that's highly unusual for to have that amount of new faces. So that's the bad news. The good news is they give us far too much time to practice. I mean, our guys, literally this year's team moved to campus on May 28th. And we haven't practiced all day, every day since May 28th, but we've had a lot of time together, you know. So for the inner workings, the people on the inside that are part of our program on a daily basis. I mean, we've covered a lot of ground since May 28th, and it feels like any old team would ever feel. But whether they're new, old, transfer, freshman, doesn't make any difference. It's all the same. The folks that follow our program closely but aren't there every day, it's concerning and it feels different because there's so many new faces, and you're used to watching guys go to their school as freshmen, start at some level and develop and stay and be there 4, sometimes 5 years if they've redshirted. And those days are just a far more infrequent and it feels uncomfortable. But the truth is, on the inside, it's still very much the same as it always has been, even though there are so many new faces. So it's a concerning time for coaches as far as the calendar goes, because we have been together for a long time, but we really have no idea where we are I mean, we've played each other every day for 6 months, and so we got scrimmages coming up here in the next couple of weeks, and then our first game November 4th, and then we'll take off from there. But I'd love for you to use those season tickets, even if if you don't have an interest or the time to be a season ticket holder. Come watch us play. Curb Event Center is an awesome facility. There's not a bad seat in the house. 5,000 seats in there, and you could be happy to watch the game from any spot in the building. It's an extremely family-friendly environment, tons of fun. And then if you care about Belmont at all, you usually leave and walk away pretty happy. We've won 90% of our games in that building over the last 20 years since it's been there. Literally only, this is what Greg's so good at, but so correct me if I'm wrong or if I lose, but Gonzaga, Oregon, and Duke have won more home games during that stretch of time, conference games during that stretch of time than we have at Belmont. We've had, yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. Yeah. Smattering. So that's good. I mean, if you're going to go spend your money and you're going to go spend your time and you're going to actually pull for somebody, you want to be good consistently, not like for 2 weeks, like Vanderbilt football, but like consistently over time, we want to do that. I am picking on you, right? I'm picking on you. Yeah. You didn't hear me? I got you. No, I'm kidding. No, it's all good. Here's probably a more impressive number that I can give you, and it's both men's and women's basketball at Belmont. We're the only school in the country in Division I. Division I has roughly 365 schools. We're the only school in the country that has 9 straight seasons of 20 wins or more for both the men's and the women's team. So that's I think in any business, we all want to be good. But when we can have some sustained success and do it over a long period of time, then I think that we've really got something. He mentioned I was the 10th head coach at Belmont, or you did, Jordan did, I guess. I didn't really realize that. I didn't really realize that because I'm the second in the last 40 years. And my predecessor's in the College Hall of Fame, and a great mentor of mine, Rick Bird, who many of you know, and I'm sure like if you do know him. So come watch us play. It's a great spot. We've got the right kind of guys. The reason for our sustained success over the course of time, it mostly boils down to the fact that we've picked good players and good people for the better part of 40 years. I graduated in 95. We were an NAIA school then, among the best in the country. And I have said a lot that the guys on our team now, the families in our program now, the student athletes in our program today, they're the same guys as we had in 1995. Or when Karan Johnson, who's on our staff and a Hall of Famer, graduated in 2013. Or when Luke Smith, who was a good player for us and graduated in 2022. A lot of time goes by and our players have gotten better. We're bigger, stronger, faster. We've got NBA players now, 2 first-round picks in the last 6 or 7 years. So we're doing things that are new and new accomplishments, but the core of who we are hasn't changed in that 40-year time, even with so many new faces. And I think that's, when you really know who you are and what you're about and what you're trying to accomplish, and you kind of find that nugget, that holding on to it is a really big and important piece of any level of sustained success. And so that's who we want to be. I think we're doing a real disservice to the university if we change, and it's harder. It's the portal, which I expect that to be one of your questions, or NIL, which I would expect that to be another one of your questions. Those things really challenge us and make it difficult to do things the way that we always have, but we still are pretty intentional about staying true to who we are and who we want to be. I mean, the number one job for me as the head coach of the program is that we represent Belmont in a first-class way in everything that we do. And when people think about Belmont athletics, it reflects well upon the university. And we're not perfect at that. It's not always easy, but it's the number one mission. And when we win, and when we have great academic success, here's another one for you. We have 19 academic All-Americans since we've been Division I in the last 20 years. All right, so that doesn't mean anything to you until I tell you that's more than any other school in the country. The next closest has 10. All right. I mean, that's the right kind of people. That's all I'm saying. We've picked the right kind of guys. Our team GPA last semester was a 3.48, I believe, our team average GPA. Yeah. I couldn't have been on this team. I wasn't that was not the same. That was not the same in 1995, but it just tells you a little bit about the kind of guys that if you use those tickets and you come to a game, the kind of people that you're watching. It's very different than the stereotype that a lot of people have for college athletics without minimizing the chance to win or having the success. You know, you can absolutely have both. As great as that GPA number is, which is, I would put it probably in the top 5 percentile easy, if not 1 percentile in the country for men's basketball teams. I think we're 15th out of 17 in the department at Belmont. And so it's across the board. Logan was a good golfer. I mean, those guys are 4.0 kind of guys, you know, and so we've got it all the way across. And that just speaks to what Belmont is and what it's about. Scott Corley, our athletic director, Greg Jones, who's our president, is a great leader and all in for athletics. And it makes it a great place to be. So again, portals changed things. NIL has changed things. I've had a few of those questions, but I'm going to open it up to you guys so I can tell you what you want to hear instead of what I want you to know. Who's got one?
Coach, I'm looking at your preseason schedule before your conference starts. How do you go about finding teams to play that are so far away and connections?
Scheduling is way up there in the hardest part of my job, any coach's job. It is a nasty puzzle to put together. It seems like it would be easy, but it's not. You've got kind of the givens that are, you know, me finding the date that you want to play, but it also has to be that I want to play you and you want to play me. It also has to, I mean, there's just so many factors that go into it. Sometimes, especially the mid-major level, if you talk about teams that are not in the Power Five, you know, we have to create some revenue. So how much of that is necessary? And so it's just, and then coaches are notoriously terrible about being honest in communication with scheduling. And then now, because of the portal and so much roster change, you don't really even know who you're scheduling until we get into April, May, June of the year. It used to be at this point in time, most of my schedule would be done for next season. And we finished this year, I think, late July. And it's just really, really difficult. You know, there are, you know, the better you are, the fewer teams that want to play. You know, you have coaches all across the country who are on the hot seat, and they got to be really cautious about who they play. You have programs that haven't won a whole lot, so they have a different agenda. You have schools that are planning to play in the NCAA tournament that want an ambitious schedule, you know, so they're looking for something. You know, you have TV sometimes that factors into this. You have conference requirements that say you have to play this number of home games or this number of teams in the top 100, top 200. So it's just a nasty, nasty piece of the puzzle. And so for us, with the schedule that we ended up putting together, I think there's 16 home games this year, which is a lot for us, 6 non-conference games out of 11. We've got a lot of what I would call 50-50 games, you know, teams that are very, very similar to us, and some of which you're probably not even familiar with. UC Irvine, for example, the Anteaters. They're the only Anteaters that I know in the country. You know, they win the Big West almost every year. They're a top 100 team in the country almost every year. You know, so when you think about the Power Five and the Big East, that's about 75, 80 schools. And so if you're finishing in the top 100, which we do more times than not, you're in pretty good company right there. But we play them because they're kind of in a similar boat to us. That's how that worked out. We play Richmond this year that won the A10, which is a really, really good conference. They won that league last year. We play Furman, who won an NCAA tournament game 2 years ago, beat Virginia in the first round. We can talk about Tony Bennett if anybody wants to ask that question, who just retired yesterday. You know, it's tough. And then we got our locals. We're always going to play Lipscomb. It's a great rival. They were picked to win the ASUN earlier this week. They've got a really good team. Play Middle Tennessee every year. They'll be really formidable in Conference USA. They were down last year, but they'll be back. So Long answer to your short question. Who else?
Okay, coach, you've got,
I like your haircut, Larry.
we lost, we lost 7 great players or really good players from last year's team.
Yeah.
We picked up 8 new players, you said, and they're a varied, from senior guys that maybe have 1 year left to some younger guys that have several years. How does that carry forward to next year for you? Do you have any guarantee that those 8 guys or whatever the ones that will be left will be back or any way of?
I don't have any guarantees
keeping
for
them?
anything. That's for sure. Yeah. I mean, okay. So what the portal has done, and that's kind of what we lost. I don't think we lost 7. I think we lost 6. Yeah. 2 of those were graduates. And then we lost 4 to the portal. Our best 3 players last season were sophomores, all conference players, really good players, and they transferred out. One went to North Carolina, one went to Maryland, one went to Ole Miss. All 3 got paid heavily. And then we had a 4th player that just wanted more playing time opportunity, so he transferred as well. And so, yeah, we brought in 3 freshmen and 5 transfers ourselves. And so, I think what it's done more than anything is it just really makes you focus on what was always true, but now is so much more of a reality. And that is, clearly we can only control what we can control. My only job with this year's team is to give them the best experience that we can, lead them strategically with integrity, help them become the best players and team that we can help them become, and then just see what happens when all that is said and done. In the past, you have a little bit more probably, just a long range vision for your team and the roster and what it's going to look like and who's back and how you need to fill in those pieces. But it's a little foolish these days to really think in those terms, because you're going to get surprised no matter what. We had a guy leave 2 years ago. He went to Iowa, and he would have been maybe 15 out of 15 on our roster for someone who I thought would have transferred, but it happened. He was from Iowa. He had an opportunity, and he left. And so it's just a tough part of the business. The transfer portal, here's what changed about the portal. All right. Until about 3 or 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, all the sports in Division I, you could transfer to another school and play right away, except for basketball and football. The main reason for that is basketball and football are all full scholarship sports. And there's some other athletes on those other teams that are full scholarship, but it's not. Baseball, for example, has had a roster of 35 players, 40 players, and they only get 11 or 12 total scholarships. Right, Ken? And so it's been different, but they made that change a few years ago to where with a basketball or football that you can transfer and play right away as well. All right. And that's the biggest, most significant part of what's going on is kids no longer had to sit out when they went somewhere else to play. And so a guy on our team that might have been the 8th, 9th, 10th guy, he might have been dissatisfied with his playing time back then, but he was less likely to leave for greener pastures because it wasn't worth him sitting out, especially when we've got a team. He has teammates that he really likes in Nashville, and Belmont's a good place, and we win a lot of games. They stuck it out, and their time probably came later. And even if it didn't, they still got a lot of reward for it. Well, now it's just easy to go. Mom and dad want him to go do something else. Maybe he wants to go back home, wherever that is. And so they're a lot quicker to leave. So that's one part of the portal that's really changed things. And then as significant is coaches from other teams, because they know that, are far more likely illegally to poach, recruit kids on other teams. They wouldn't be the kids that went to Carolina, Maryland, and Ole Miss. They may have been able to go this year, but if they had to go and sit out, it wouldn't have been quite as easy for those coaches to say, let's go get them. I can't contact him directly, but his dad, right? So you want to check and see if he's happy at Belmont. And if he's not, maybe just plant a seed that, when the time comes and the season's over, or maybe just have somebody call me if they want to, we'll work it. That's kind of how that happens. And so those two things with the transfer portal combined, have really changed it. And then the portal, there's always been kind of a portal, but now there's in the old days, if I was going to transfer from Belmont, I'd have to go to my AD, They'd have to give me a release, and then my people would have to contact who I was interested in playing for. All right. Well, now when they go in the portal, it's actual software. And so from about, March 13th to April 13th, every basketball staff in the country is sitting in their office with their computer screen on, waiting for somebody else to go in the portal. And everybody knows it the second that they go in. So you combine all those things together, and it's a big mess and hard, but the reality of where we are. Hi, Mark. Well, one was super minimal. The others, on average, were $500,000 or so. Yeah.
So, one,
That's crazy, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
that is crazy.
Really crazy. Yeah.
So I have,
Ohio State, where did my man go? They just gave their football team $20 million, right? That's the payroll for the Ohio State's football team this year. $20 million for this year. Not like here's your 4-year contract, but we're going to give the players on our team this year, when you add it all up, $20 million to play football for Ohio State.
Crazy.
What's that? Yeah, but they always have been.
Yeah. So, I guess I don't really have a question. I have a thank you and feedback. One, I want to thank you for having your basketball camp every year.
Let's go.
I was actually a participant in the early 90s, and you were a counselor there. Probably, maybe your freshman year. That's what I'm gonna say. And then both my boys have been through over the past few years.
Nice.
The feedback is they love the cafeteria food. So just make sure that stays on the docket. And then the other question about the camp is, do you plan on expanding it any? Because it's always so hard to get in. You have to pretty much sign up on the first day.
Yeah, we love to expand it. We just don't have the dates to do it. We have 3 weeks of camp, which is actually a lot these days. And our women have almost 3 weeks as well. Volleyball's got a little sprinkling of camps in there. But we have, in our 3 weeks, we have about, this year, I have to do my math real fast, but probably almost 800 kids for those 3 weeks. And it's really an exceptional time. I mean, it's been awesome for Belmont through the years. When you think about that being the men and then the women doing very similar numbers, and the amount of families that we touch and bring into our arena and expose to our players and everything else, it's been really, really good for the university, for our program, and we hope for the community. So, yeah, but it's a long time running. But you're right about cafeteria. I mean, we could drop the basketball part of it, and we could have a cafeteria camp, and we'd sell out for sure. Yeah. You get French fries, chicken nuggets, all you can eat, hot dogs, pizza, sodas, desserts in front of, about 275 kids each week. All you can eat. Yeah. It goes over pretty well. Yeah. We clean up a lot of mess. Yes, sir. Hey, I applaud you for wearing that sweater today.
Well, you've got to be
Yes.
a fan
Yeah.
when they're down. So yeah,
Yes.
like that's when the teams really need the fans.
Thankfully,
So-
they've got like 9 more months of their season and about
Exactly.
175 games. So we're all good.
That's right. Lots of chances to figure out which lines work together.
Yeah.
So I've got a question, and it would go across the board in college. Great coaches like Coach Bird, you're a great coach, do it the right way. Bring the students in, freshmen, have them for 4 years. There's a Belmont way.
Mhm.
This is how we do it. This is how we, this is our defense, this is our offense, whatever. The transfer portal and the NIL, and especially now with the lack of students staying at one school, it worries me that a lot of the intangibles won't be there. But from a game playing strategic tactical standpoint, are y'all simplifying some of your, especially like certain defenses and different
Yeah.
things where you
I get
gotta-
where you're going. I
Yeah.
got where you're going. Yes, to some degree, but really that hasn't changed a lot. I mean, I think what we're talking about here in coaching, whatever your sport is, you know, the difference in your philosophy and in your system. Like your philosophy is big picture, like this is who we are. This is what we're going to be. This is how we're going to go about accomplishing that and so forth. And that really never changes, you know, and that's what I was referring to earlier when we were talking about Belmont. And kind of what our mission is, you know, but we would be foolish to bury our head in the sand and not understand that the system has to be tweaked and changed from year to year, whether there was a portal or not. Sometimes you still have really good inside players or really good shooters, or you're really athletic, or you don't have any size, you know, it changes from year to year. So you always have to adjust the system based on what you have at this present moment. And that's never been more apparent than what it is right now, because you have so many new faces. When half of your roster is brand new, you know, you have to change things. Thankfully, as I mentioned, you know, being together so long, we have enough time to get it all in. But in the past, everything would be a stair step, you know, build on each other. We start slow, you know, and we're trying to get where we want to go by the time we start playing games. Well, we're still trying to get where we want to go by the time we start playing games, but we start at the top. It's big picture from day one. Like when those guys get there in May, pretty much we're practicing. And, you know, and then we figure it out from there. Mark, you got another question? Yeah, well, we spend a ton of time together, and so a lot of that takes care of itself. But you have to be really intentional about, if you want to create the culture, they have to really understand what that is, and they have to buy into it, and they've got to own it. They've got to own it. We talk about culture leaks. All right, whatever your culture is, that bucket's going to leak and drip over time. All right, if you're not consistently pouring back into it and filling that bucket up, you know. So we do things. I mean, any number of things. I mean, this is off the top of my head, but you know, we have silly games against each other. You know, we'll play. A couple of years ago, we had this big contest. We were divided into two groups, and we had a bunch of different competitions. We played ultimate frisbee. We played checkers. We played cornhole. We went bowling. We played golf. We played dodgeball. We, you know, things like that. You know, they have nothing to do with being a basketball player. You know, things. One thing I've always done, which is a little bit different, is we have family tests within the first week or two of guys getting back on campus. We have 16 players. All right. We have 5 managers, we have 2 GAs, and we have 6 staff members on our staff, plus a strength coach, plus a athletic trainer. All right. And we literally have a family test, blank sheet, and I'm responsible for knowing and spelling correctly every player on our team, his siblings, his mom and his dad's name, what high school he went to, where he's from, what his academic major is, for every person that's on that sheet. And our players do the same thing, you know, and we've all forgotten a lot of it by now, you know, but the point of the exercise is, you know, hey, this is a big family that we're talking about right here, you know, and if you guys might not live together, you know, but you need to know each other, and you need to know where you came from. You need to know, you know, because a lot of those questions are like, man, I didn't know you had all those sisters. Well, I've got 2 half sisters, you know, or yeah, hey, my mother passed away when I was 9, and you know, oh, I thought that was your mom. You know, you get a lot of those kind of conversations. So there's a lot of ways you can go with it. Some are silly games, and some are a little bit more serious. We do book studies. We do a lot of things that, you know, yeah. So
I just want to say support Jason. I have 2 middle schoolers, and my oldest is the basketball player, and he will not miss your summer. We schedule our whole summer around your summer camp and around UT's summer camp. I can't get him to go to UK's summer camp. That's a whole nother story. I just want to say thank you. Yeah. And we're looking forward to coming to some games this year. Most of them is during the week, so we just haven't made it yet, but we're old enough now to do that. So I just want to say thank you for what you're giving back to the community as well.
You're welcome. Yeah. My privilege, our privilege.
Coach, on this paying players, how do you feel about it? And should there be some kind of cap or some kind of control over it?
Yeah. So the smart aleck answer to how I feel about it is it doesn't matter how I feel about it. I have no say so in the matter. Everything's going to be dictated to us, whether we like it or not. You know, they act like, you know, we have a say so and get an opinion and everything else, but really we don't. That's all the NCAA and the courts. The NCAA gets an extremely unfair, bad rap for where things are. The NCAA really has nothing to do with where things are, except for the fact that maybe they didn't give players a little piece of the pie back when. So now it's become a big issue. But this is the decision to pay players is definitely not the NCAA's decision. It's the court's decision that says you have to pay your players, or you have to allow them to make some money. All right. NIL started for very good reason. All right. The whole name, image, and likeness was, if Greg is a good quarterback, Greg should be able to make some money from his car dealership, Mr. Andrews' car dealership, if Mr. Andrews wants Greg to make some money because he plays for Wake Forest. Piece of cake. That's what NIL was supposed to be. Like, we shouldn't keep him from being able, Peyton Manning ought to get, $4 every time they sell one of his jerseys, instead of Tennessee getting all 50 of them. That's basically where it started. But coaches are super competitive, and some of us are smart. Some of them are smart. And so that's how the collectives got started, where, the whole idea of market value. Well, who are you to say what Greg's market value is? If I think his market value is $1 million, I can give Greg $1 million through our collective. That's what it's turned into. And then, well, crap, they're giving their quarterback $1 million, so we got to give our quarterback $1.1 million. Oh man, everybody on their offensive line gets 50,000. And if we're going to beat them, hey, Mr. AD, they're giving their guys this much. What are we going to do? Well, we got to be committed, so we're going to give this much. And then it just keeps going and going and going. And so, yes, I do think there should be a cap. Yes, I don't think there'll ever be a cap, but I think it'll be reined back in a little bit. Okay, pretty soon, I'm not going to go into details, but pretty soon, what is now taken care of by third parties, all the payments are from third-party payments, collectives. Most all of that is going to go in-house, and the schools are actually going to be able to pay the players directly. And at least there will be more control. There will be less guessing. There would be a little bit more guardrails that go in place. And at least, Ken, if you want to give Belmont, $25,000 so we can keep one of our good basketball players, you get a tax benefit from it, where with a collective, it's not a 501c3 and you don't. So, all right, keep that in mind. Who's Ravenwood play tonight? I see his Ravenwood shirt. Is that Ravenwood? Who we play tonight?
Franklin.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Williamson County rival. My mom, my dad graduated from Franklin. I'm for them.
Yeah, let's go. Let's meet you. Let's meet up there, and
Okay.
I'll put, we'll cheer together. I'll go, Alan.
Yeah, I was just actually personal testimony to the little things in life that people do. I love the attention to detail that you exemplify, and personal side of things. My son went to Belmont. I had to go to a parent thing, orientation, and I guess it was about 6 years ago. And I get on the elevator in the main building, totally lost. This guy gets on the
This guy here?
elevator. Yeah, that guy there. Yeah, so you don't even know that. And looked at me and goes, "Wow, you look lost." I said, "Yeah."
Hey, you're the Vandy fan, right?
I'm a Vanderbilt fan.
Okay.
I went to Ole Miss. I went to Ole Miss.
Time to put 2 and 2 together right here. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm all over the board. I'm whoever's winning. But it just the conversation that took place, he had just come from Lipscomb, literally.
Yep.
And I just got off the elevator and had conversation, and then one about my way. And I was thinking later during that orientation, I was like, man, that guy, just such a attention to the little things, and and so I every time I see you on the court there, I think of those, just and the interaction with the people here, because you got to wear so many different hats. I guess as a mid-major coach, you don't have the luxury of press secretary and all that stuff. So
Yeah, I
just
got
wanted to-
Greg Sage. That's all I got right there is Greg Sage.
Okay, that's it.
Thank you for saying that. I'm grateful you brought that up. Thank you.
So on the answer to nil, From what I understand, in order to actually.
Nobody calls it that. They call it NIL. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm an abbreviator, you know. My understanding is they literally have to organize a collective bargaining agreement and become like a union, and somebody has to represent them in order to have this, or otherwise it's the Wild West. Is that your understanding?
It's definitely one of the topics at hand. So when it goes in-house, what does that look like? You know, and it's a big problem with the whole package right now is there just literally are not any guardrails at all. And so, you know, a Titans player is obligated to the Titans for the duration of his contract unless they agree to make a change. Well, you know, if Iamaleava wants to leave Tennessee, he can leave Tennessee if Oregon wants to give him more money next year. Period. You know, but you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just like there's no sense in that with the money involved and the stakes involved. You know, why a 20-year-old kid has that power to do whatever he wanted to, whatever he wants to do, you know, and there's no protection for us. So if we want protection though, you know, then we can't go back to the old way where we just dictate to them what we're going to do. So there has to be some level of, if it's not collective bargaining, at least it has to be, you know, okay, we all agree this is how it's going to be. And then let's all follow the rules, which, as you already know, some of those people won't follow the rules anyway. So the courts, that's why the courts are involved. That's why the legislation that's out there now is really, really extreme. We talked about billions of dollars in the House settlement that's out there right now. And the reason why that is so extreme is they're basically saying every scenario that's out there in the world, we're just going to lump it all into this, have a moratorium for the next 10 years that nothing can happen while we figure it out, and we'll pay for it, but at least it'll settle things down. And that's kind of where things are and probably what's going to happen. It's been a real pleasure seeing you guys. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Casey, we'd like to give you a gift for speaking. And also we have a book that we read to Ken Rose Elementary that we'd like for you to sign front page. All right. For our guest, Hunter, Greg, Logan, Bill, Ken, Buddy, thank you very much for attending. We really, really appreciate it. Please come back anytime you'd like. Before we leave, don't forget to help put up the tables and chairs, stack them by 8. And if there's nothing else for the good of Rotary, we are adjourned.